this week, Donald Trump signs, I don't know, Executive Order 932. I don't know. I mean, this guy's on fire. So we've got an exciting executive order dealing with the 401k and alternative assets. Matt Sorensen is my amazing partner, going to unpack this for us. It's kind of a tricky thing to understand. Matt, tell us what this executive order is all about.
Well, it's all about you and your retirement account and having some investment options, for crying out loud. Like, can I invest in something besides a stock, bond, and a mutual fund? Maybe an ETF? Oh, can I have maybe real estate or a private fund or crypto? Could I do that in my retirement account?
No, because I'm in Wall Street. I lobby for Wall Street. No, you cannot.
Exactly. Well, this executive order is turning the tide, baby. And this is what I love. Let me just read the policy, okay? Trump in the executive order sets the policy and says, it is the policy of the United States that every American preparing for retirement should have access to funds that include investments in alternative assets. We'll get into the detail on how we're going to get there and all of this, but this is a big shift. Traditionally, Washington, D.C., Wall Street have been aligned in that, hey, in your retirement account, just buy that ETF. Just buy that mutual fund. Trust us. Don't do these alternative assets that all the wealthy people do with their money. Sure. That's not good for you. Just do this over here, buy this ETF and mutual fund. So yeah, big shift. I was excited about this, and we'll dive into what this means for you today and in the future, action you can take, but huge news.
I think one thing we need to lead with too is, what is an alternative asset? I think everybody out there, you know what a 401k is. That's just a part of our culture that's very, very well understood.
And the executive order defines what alternative assets he's talking about.
Okay. Well, I was going to define it, but we'll let Donald Trump, and the executive order define it.
How's a little more weight to it, and we have our alternative asset summit, by the way, coming up. Mark and I will both be speaking at October 16th and 17th, Scottsdale, Arizona. You can attend virtually, but come live for all the great networking, altassetsummit.com, because we're going to get into like all the spectrum of alternative assets that are out there. But here's the ones that Trump specifically mentioned in the executive order. Real estate. Are you surprised by that one?
Part of it, Matt and I are a little bit like, duh, the party's been going on for how long? You just showed up. But no, that's nice. All right.
Yeah, we got real estate. Okay. Digital assets. We just like to say in the rest of the world, crypto. And then private funds, basically private equity, private debt, private credit, those types of funds. And so there's some other things like commodities, infrastructure, development, investments, and then risk sharing pools. That was the ones they specifically identified. They weren't saying just these, but they were outlining these as specific ones that should be on the roadmap as something that you should be able to buy in your 401k.
A lot of times we hear in the news things that go on in these executive orders, and it's esoteric. It's not anything that's going to impact me in my personal life. Okay, fine. Wall Street's jockeying around with the White House again, figuring out the lobbyists are working on this. But this is actually one I think the average American doesn't realize is going to impact them in a big way. If you're a corporate employee, you go to that meeting in the lunchroom and they tell you about the 401k for the year, and some financial advisor comes up in the front of the room. He brought a box of donuts and he's like, "Hi, you might be high risk oriented. You might be medium risk oriented. You might be low risk oriented." Well, on the form, everybody look at your table in front of you. There's a form there and you get to check the box of what you'd like to invest in based on your risk level. Okay, anybody have any questions? And everybody's like, you have no idea what to ask. And then you're like, okay, bye. And that's your investment decision opportunity. Well, that's got to change. And that's what this is all about, is now you being able to say, hell no, I want to invest in something different. I think I can get a better return over here, and you have a choice. And so that's what this is about. But Matt, it's not going to happen overnight. What do you think the timeline on this is going to be?
I love how you framed that up, because this is going to matter, right? And there's like $8 trillion in 401ks. So many Americans, it's where their most investable section of money is, and they want to have options, right?
Yeah.
They don't want to just be like, check the box. I guess I'm medium risk. I don't know. And what did you get invested into? You don't even know. Like, most Americans can't even tell you the name of the ETF or mutual fund they have and what is in that. Like, we have hundreds of thousands of dollars, just average Americans, everyday people invested in this. So we're gonna have some options here. Now, here's what the executive order is doing, kind of time frame to answer that question specifically. Administration has taken two angles on this. One is they're saying, hey, Department of Labor, who oversees 401k plans, let's stop all these lawsuits against people for fiduciary risk, because the whole 401k industry, from the plan administrators and the record keepers and the advisors, they're all terrified to say your 401k can invest in an alternative because they don't want to get sued if that alternative goes bad. And so old kind of guidance was scaring 401k administrators. From the Biden administration, I don't want to be political, but other administrations, they kind of like scared 401k administrators and advisors from recommending alternatives. Trump administration's like, we're ripping that back. Endowments, the wealthiest, smartest people in the world are allocating to these assets and getting better returns. Why are we holding back everyone else and saying that's not for you, not good enough for you because you could lose money? Well, you could also make more money too. There's an other side to this. So they're going to take some of the liability and litigation risk down, which is a big issue. There's cases out there all the time on this that the 401k industry is terrified about. So that'll be a big update. And they've got 180 days to come back with some guidance, some regulations and stuff on the Department of Labor side.
All of you listening here should also realize this executive order is about the big 401k plans that are out there.
Yeah.
For those of you or your spouse that's in a large 401k plan with your employer, this is going to be a slow roll, but the time will come where you or your spouse in this lunchroom with the donuts are going to have more choices. And that's what this executive order is about. But the good news is the message this sends to average Americans that this is okay. And guess what? We've already been doing this for here at Directed IRA, since that's why we started this company. And it's been available for 20 or 30 years, this opportunity. If you have an old 401k or if you have an IRA, you can do this right now. So this executive order is kind of like, yeah, we're already doing that. But it also is sending a message to everybody out there to let them know it's okay, that may have been browbeated or demeaned by their stockbroker or investment advisor into you're thinking you're crazy. You're not. Take the lid off, people. This is a chance to get going on investing what you want to invest in and feel even more confident to do so.
And that's, I think, kind of our punchline here is there's $17 trillion in IRAs. There's more money in IRAs than 401ks. And you can buy an alternative asset, real estate, crypto, private fund tomorrow. Like, we're doing this every 10 minutes. Someone's buying an alternative asset in their IRA at Directed IRA. You know, we're opening up 500, 1,000 accounts a month sometimes here of new clients coming here to invest in alternative assets. And so the 401k industry, though, has been controlled by advisors and record keeper platforms in Wall Street, you know, if we want to just put a label on it. And they've been like, we don't want to let people do that. The tide's shifting. People are like, we want to have access to this stuff. Stop gatekeeping us out of here. We want to have access to this. And that's kind of Trump. He's kind of a populist, right? He's out there being like, let people do this, for crying out loud. Let's give them some options. They don't have to. Let's at least give them the option. And so now we're going to see the tide start shifting a little bit for those of you in the corporate 401k, of course, to have some of these options. Now, I mentioned the Department of Labor just a second ago. The SEC has been tasked to make it more accessible for people to invest in alternative assets. So they're supposed to come out with some recommendations and guidance as well. Now, I will say this, Trump tried to do this in his last administration, but he did it at the very end of his administration. He didn't get reelected. You know, I think he thought he was going to get reelected and it was going to be able to finish it. Well, right when Biden came in, they put the brakes on this. So I think they're going to have enough time this time, doing it early, to get this rolling down the line, so which will be good for people. Now, you might be like, that's not a good idea to invest in alternatives with your 401k. Then don't do it. I'm just saying, let's give people a choice. Let's let them have an option besides being stuck into the same thing. It's an awesome strategy. Mark and I have been doing it ourselves for years as investors. We've been helping clients across the country do this. 22,000 plus accounts, $3 billion in assets, growing fast because people want options.
As we talked about the timeline of the politics behind this, it is like the Twilight Zone. It is so weird because the Republicans historically have tried to protect Wall Street and their interests. Wall Street, they're a big lobby. We've got to protect the financial institutions, interest rates, all these, things that are going on in Wall Street. We're not going to fiddle with it. We'll let Wall Street do what they want. That's typically been the Republicans. And Democrats are like, no, we want choices. We want freedom. We want to be able to do what we want with our money. So ironically is that soon as Trump wants to do it, the Democrats cannot agree. There's nothing Trump can do that's right. They find themselves again in this weird spot arguing against practicality and something that historically They've always won it. It's just weird. And I would encourage all of you to not get caught up in the politics of this. Control your own destiny. Look at your own economy, your own goals, your own bank accounts and retirement accounts, and demand the best for yourself. I don't care if the Republicans deliver it on a silver platter or the Democrats deliver it on a silver platter. Take the best choice in front of you and make the most of it. There's no need to get caught up in the rhetoric about it. The good news, people, you control your retirement account. You can invest in alternative assets right now today in an IRA or a solo 401k, and pretty soon those choices are going to be laid out for you in a very pragmatic way for your company 401k. And ask about it. Demand it. They're not going to move quickly on this. Trust me. Wall Street is going to go kicking and screaming into this area, or they're going to figure out ways to make money on it before they allow
That's what they're doing. Let's be honest. That's what they're doing. They're starting to make private funds that have alternative assets in it. You can invest in it. It owns real estate. It owns digital assets. It owns crypto. It's private equity. You know, it's another version of Wall Street, let's be honest.
Here's what I think everybody should be worried about. Wall Street's going to come and say, okay, you want alternative assets? Here's an alternative asset fund. No. I want to invest directly in my own alternative asset. Oh, here's the message you're going to hear, people. Oh, that's too dangerous. You will screw it up. We're protecting you from yourself. You're not smart enough to invest in something directly. Just come to alternative asset fund. Oh, you want to do real estate? Well, we've got that fund for you. Don't try and do it yourself. You'll get hurt. And you're going to hear that message. Don't believe it.
And I think, this isn't meant to be investment advice, of course, but you're going to see funds. And we have a lot of people who invest in private funds with their IRA. They're investing in the funds that they've chosen. This doesn't have to be the big fund on Wall Street, that you can't actually talk to the person operating it. So you're definitely going to see more funds offered here. And for some people, that's the right investment. I'll be honest, the person at the 401k lunchroom could get their head around someone that's running a private fund doing real estate or maybe even crypto or private equity. Not everyone's the entrepreneurial type that we run into a lot, Mark and I do, in our law firm at Directed, that are like, let me go find a deal myself. So I think there's a big group of people that are still fine in that category of, let me just invest in a private fund. I'm cool with that. I don't want to go find all these deals. And Wall Street, serve it up to me, whatever. At least I have options and I have that ability to do that if I don't want to be the entrepreneurial person and go find the deal. But what we're doing, of course, every day is everything. We're like open architecture. You want to buy a stock? You want to buy an ETF? You want to invest in a private fund? You want to go find your own deal? You know what I mean? You can do all of that right now with a self-directed IRA. I mean, that's the creme de la creme. That's the world is your oyster. Grow and maximize your retirement account the best way that works for you. We're not putting you in a box of you can do this or you can do that. It's open architecture. Do what you want. World's your oyster. And I think that's where people can have the most success in a retirement account.
Well, the message has been sent. Hopefully the message is received. Thank you to the Trump administration to try to give us more flexibility and freedom with our retirement accounts. Whatever you do with a gift horse in the mouth, I don't know. Don't worry about the messenger. Just enjoy the message. I'm excited for all of you. Thank you for listening to our show. And as for the practical steps to take, we've got our podcast history here with some incredible steps in our FAQs, and our website will be there to help you start taking action right now. So get out there, folks, invest in what you know best.
Get over to directedira.com. That's where we have all the resources. Of course, subscribe to the podcast. Please share this with your friends and family if you found it helpful. And if you're like, I don't really understand this self-directing thing, and you guys saying you can do this in an IRA already, guys, we have so much content on this on our YouTube channels, on this podcast here, at our website, directedira.com. You can even book a call with our team, directedira.com. You can book a call there. Or come see us live at the Alt Asset Summit, October 16th and 17th. We'd love to see you there. But thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be back with another incredible episode of the Directed IRA podcast next week. Until then, stay calm, self-direct on.